Welcome to the Mentors and Moguls podcast. I'm your host, Heather Stone. I bring you mentors and moguls from all around the world, different walks of life, from creatives to CEOs to business leaders to top athletes and all kinds of other people in between. Today, I have a very special friend who has joined me. We've got French-American actress Stephanie Szostak. She recently starred on ABC's hit series, A Million Little Things. Her most notable projects include The Devil Wears Prada, Iron Man 3, and A Dinner for Schmucks, just to name a few. Over the past decade, she has played alongside Meryl Streep, Robert Downey Jr., Jeff Bridges, Steve Carell, Paul Rudd, Matt Damon, Kevin Bacon, Ryan Reynolds, and so many more. Stephanie Szostak is joining us. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you, Heather. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited that you're on. You've got a fantastic story that I am so excited that you're going to share with our audience here today. You know, today's title is Embrace Being the Outsider. And most people would say, wait a minute, you're on the inside track. You're with all the A-list celebrities and all these great movies and TV series. But tell me a little bit about your journey to the States from France and your first step into becoming an outsider.
All right. Well, the journey started in France, but my dad's American and my mom is French. We actually have a saying in France that is "J'ai le cul entre deux chaises." And if you don't speak French, that means, can I swear?
Of course.
My ass is in between two chairs. So if you have a French chair and an American chair, I have a one butt cheek on each and I sort of fall in the middle. So I think right from the get-go, it's, I wasn't, growing up was not typically French. And that's what brought me to the United States was my father's family. And I always loved America. We were very lucky. We got to go on vacation every summer in the States. So when I made the leap to go to college for two reasons. One was to have a liberal arts education because we don't have that in France. And I had no clue what I wanted to study. So this gave me a chance to figure it out. And I also played competitive golf and we don't have collegiate sports. So I could play varsity golf in college. But so when I got to the States, I was like, this is going to be great. I know America, my dad's family's from there. And I had a big surprise and had a huge culture shock. And things were not as easy as I thought they would be. So that's where, again, I felt like an outsider. I would say that's probably the time, one of my most exciting new beginnings, and at the same time, one of my hardest transition.
So it was hard to break through because you were a little bit different, or I know things are like night and day between France and the US.
Well, I realized, first of all, my language skills weren't as great. So humor was really hard to, like my first week there, I was in line at the bookstore waiting to get my books. And this cute guy came behind me and he gave me a nod and he was like, hey, what's up? And I looked at him and I looked up to the sky and I was like, is he making fun of me? And so, with a hint of French attitude, I was like, I don't know, what is up? And food was different. I'll give you a couple of examples that are funny. I was in my dorm and two girls came first week there. It was orientation week. And they were like, hey, we're having a little party for orientation. We're ordering pizza. We know your birthday's in August. So you get to, choose the toppings. And I was like, what are the toppings? What is that? And so they started explaining. And I was like, oh, yes. My favorite topping is an egg. And they were like, no, you can't put an egg in it. So it was just one thing after the other like that. And my last example will be, because I love this story. I did go to the party, and we were all playing games, those warm-up games. And it was two teams, and it was one of those games where you had to fill in the sentence of the other team and be quick. And so somebody said, yummy, yummy, feels good in my, and I raised my hand really quickly and I blurted out, vagina.
Oh, Well, okay. Great way to start off the school year.
Yeah. So
it remembers you.
now you know why. I was mortified and people laughed, but I was so embarrassed. So it was a lot of just that. And then eventually, I will say that one great thing is I found my tribe and people to connect with. And the funny thing is, I think I realized year after year that I feel like an outsider over and over again at different times in my life.
You're in a business of mass rejection. I don't know how you deal with that, because going on casting calls, I mean, obviously you've got an amazing amount, a body of work with A-list actors, but you had to go through rejection at some point, correct? Did that set you right back into that first week of college, or how did you deal with that rejection over and over again?
Yes, and still deal with rejection. I think, a little less, but at times it definitely, when you read the list of all the A-listers, it sounds like, look at that. She's, what a great, it sounds glamorous. It sounds like success stories. But I think the behind the curtain is really the rejection, and it's not glamorous, and it's working hard. And at times it's feeling like it's failure after failure. It's easy to have that impact your self-value and make you doubt yourself. I definitely fell into that and felt like I was stuck. I mean, at one point, I went for, I think, a year and a half without working. And I remember getting an audition to play a French bartender. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll get that. And I didn't even get that. And I was like, I can't even get the freaking French bartender. I think how to deal with the rejection is what I figured out eventually was that I have to just focus on what I can control and learning, getting better, but on my own terms, not trying to fit into the box of what I think people want, because, when you hear no after no, it's so easy, and I did this, to be like, okay, what do they want? And when you start doing that, like I started really speaking with an American accent and trying to look different. And the more you do that, the less you feel like yourself. And actually what you're putting out there is not authentic. It's not grabbing. People don't grab onto it because you're faking it. Right. The fake it till you make it. I don't believe that's a good thing. And so eventually, and also you don't feel empowered doing that. You get lost. And so eventually what helps me is just to focus on doing it on my own terms and trying to find, once I finish an audition, to be like, I prepared, and then I was able to let go, because that's how you find joy, and that's how things happen, and that's how you can be more in the moment and create unexpected results. And then that's it. If I do that, then that's success,
Nice. Nice. So being authentic, that is really one of the keys that has helped you. I mean, I think I know you, of course, on screen, but I know you off screen even more. And you are very endearing, and you are very personable, and you're very unique. So I think a lot of people would try and be you rather than be, what all the American cookie cutters would be, quite frankly. So I think you've got, a lot of pluses in your box, so to speak.
Thank you. That's very nice, because, I actually was looking at something today. Somebody said, comments on social media. I will say thank you to what you just said, because I remember a comment on social media about A Million Little Things. They really got it all wrong with this character. Casting a French woman to play the skank or something.
Oh.
So, thank you for saying that.
That's one person who's miserable. So don't even listen to that. So Yes, I'm into season 4 on A Million Little Things. And I started watching that. And then I realized, I'm like, oh my goodness, Oh my goodness, sweet little Stephanie, look what she's been up to. So I thought it was pretty great. You did a great job. So,
Thank you.
and I love the series. Okay. How do you prepare? I've just got to ask this. How in the world do you prepare for your character in Iron Man 3?
Ah, well, so it was the first time that I had a director who thought I could be a bad guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, great. I actually, when I went to meet the director, so I didn't have the job, I was in LA driving in my car, and I was like, he wants me to play a bad guy. He wants me to play a bad guy. And I called my husband and I said, I'm so nervous. And he said, why? And I said, because I have to be tough. I have to be, like a bad guy. And he goes, and so what? And I said, well, that's not how people see me. And he said, well, how about you show your vulnerability? That's tough. And I was like, oh, okay. I like that. But so I remember him saying that, it's kind of a cliche, but it's so true. It gave me the confidence to just be and come into that meeting with a beginner's mind. I had never played a bad guy. I didn't know what his vision was going to be. And I was just going to go there and listen to him and be curious and humble.
Right.
And so anyway, I got the part. And then how did I prepare? I really worked hard physically to get me out of this sort of femininity and girly feeling that I've carried with myself in my body, sort of. Mm-hmm. And to give me a little bit of belief that I could be this character. And I worked on my accent also. And then I had the incredible luck to work with Robert Downey Jr., who just is like, when you are dancing with somebody and you have an amazing leader, and right. It just makes everything easy. So that made it really easy. But also every day before I would go on set, I would listen to rap and and dance in my trailer.
I love it.
And be kind of vulgar dancing to like give me freedom to just take risks and be somebody that I'm not typically.
Well, you did a great job. You were very convincing, and I loved it. I love the fight scene. I love the whole thing. So I loved it.
Well, so I'm going to tell you a story about Iron Man 3. So the role was pretty small, right? Because again, you're like, oh, that's a cool
right.
thing.
Right.
But when we were shooting, the director knocked on my door and said, hey, today's a good day for you. We're making your role bigger.
Oh.
And I ended up staying, for a month and a half, and I was the last villain standing. And so it was an amazing thing. And anyways, months later, I go into New York City to do the sound editing. And I get there and the director gets on the line and he goes, I'm so sorry, but your part's been cut back to the original 7 minutes on screen. And, in that moment, I remember just feeling like, oh, it was such right. a failure. I was like, oh. Why did they do that? I must have not, whatever, your self-doubt creeps in. But that in a way is rejection. Again, it's just a different type of rejection. But I think what helped me was just accepting the disappointment and then looking at what I did. Did I do anything wrong? I don't think so. I think I did great. I learned. I worked with the genius of that, who is Downey. Right. And in the end, the result what's on screen is really out of my control. It doesn't really matter. So I think learning to celebrate your effort versus what the outcome ends up is also a good way to deal with rejection.
That's a great way to look at it. Well, you're talking about rejection just a little bit and talking about the outsider. So do you feel like an outsider every time you come on to set? Because it's a new team, right? You might see some familiar faces, but you're working with different people that you've not been, living amongst and working with on a day-to-day basis before. So do you feel like an outsider every time you start a new project?
Every new project is a new beginning, and that brings nerves. I don't know about if I definitely am feel like an outsider, but it's challenging, just like in life, any transition, new beginning. Um, I, I'll tell another story that really helped me with that feeling and that self-doubt and understanding that it's not just me who feels like that. I was doing a movie with Kevin Bacon, Robert Downey Jr., Ryan Reynolds, so 3 huge movie stars, and me. And as again, there I definitely felt like an outsider. This was my second movie, and I was like, what the hell am I doing here? And we were rehearsing in a room all together. Everybody took a break, except Kevin Bacon and me, and we were together in the room. And he was completely silent. We hadn't really talked to each other. He was studying his script. And I leaned to him and I said, I just wanted to say, I thought you were amazing in The Woodsman. And I think, now I'm forgetting the name, I think that's the name of the movie, where he plays a pedophile. It was a really hard movie, courageous role for him to take, and he really brought a lot of humanity to it. And I will always remember this because he just lifted his head up and he was like, oh my God, thank you so much for saying that. Not too many people press play on that one. Mm. And he had so much vulnerability. It was very touching because he's a big movie star. Right. And then he was like, oh man, I'm such a mess. You know, I didn't sleep. I always get like this before a new movie. And I was like, wait, what? In my head, you know, it was like, you're Kevin Bacon. You get nervous? And that really, again, I think it made me realize no matter how successful you are, how experienced you are, how famous you are, fear is always going to be there. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means you're stepping out of your comfort zone. You're doing something new and you care about it. So that helped me. And also, you know, in that moment, we really connected in a real, authentic way. And it actually impacted our work relationship throughout the whole shoot. I trusted him, and it allowed me to be freer in my performance.
Yeah, well, which is great. Now, we were talking earlier, you've got a brand new project out that I love, and I'm actually going to use this project. It's called the 180 Playbook. I'm going to let you tell our listeners exactly how it came about, why it came about, and what it's good for.
Okay, thank you. So in that movie that I was doing, that I told you about with Kevin Bacon, when he opened up like this, I decided, I was like, okay, I feel fear and I need to do something about it. And by chance, or not, I need to do something about it, but I think it just was the moment where I felt I am sick of feeling like this. And so it was the catalyst for me to search on how to deal with fear and insecurities. And so I just started, you know, reading a ton of books and listening to podcasts, listening to people's stories, learning new tools. I realized it wasn't just about fear or about performance anxiety or whatever you want to call it. It was also about finding meaning and knowing what I'm about and what I can bring. And so I learned new practices, meditation, journaling, all that. But the challenge was, how do I remember all this wisdom or all these guiding messages that we come across? And then how do you incorporate them into your mindset? And so I'm a very studious person. And so literally I made myself flashcards. That's how it started. And before I would go on set, I would look at my flashcards. And my husband actually had the idea one day. He didn't make flashcards, but he has a note thing on his phone where he goes through it. And he was like, what if we had an app where we could have all these messages and you could start the day by playing these messages with music, with pictures. It would move you emotionally. It would help you retain them. It would help you set your mindset, your frame of mind, and, put it in the right frame of mind. And he said, and we would call it the 180 because it's the opposite of what most of us do every morning. Most of us dive in to the to-do list, to the news, to social media comments, other people's agendas, and all this outside noise impacts, how we feel, and that impacts how we act. So the whole thing about the 180 is start your day by getting anchored into what's important to you. And just like you brush your teeth every morning, like dental hygiene, this is sort of mental hygiene. And it's like doing the reps, going to the gym and getting stronger with your mental game. And so I did it. I didn't make an app, but I built a digital thing for him and for me. And I used it. I've been using it for 4 years, and it made a big difference in my life and my husband's life. A friend of mine did it too. And so now we are, I'm an ambassador for Give an Hour, which is a nonprofit that works in the mental health community and really helps various communities throughout the United States with mental health. And they love the project. And so we partnered up, and we are hoping to build we're starting to build an app.
I love it. I love it. Well, I've gotten a sneak peek when we were together in person, and I loved it so much that I'm going to incorporate it into my daily life. I think it's so simple yet brilliant. It's not simply put together. You figured that out already, but it's brilliant. And I don't think I know one person. I don't care if you're uber successful or you're just starting out. I don't think I know one person that couldn't benefit from the 180 playbook. So I'm so excited for you to launch this to the world and let everybody have access to it when you're really ready. Everyone should be looking for this because it's amazing. And you need to follow Stephanie. Where can they follow you on social media? We're not finished, but where can they follow you on social media? Because I want them to be ready when this launches.
On Instagram, that's really the only one. And it's Steph Shortstack. Believe it or not, Stephanie Szostak was taken.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So short stack, like a short stack of pancakes. Steph Shortstack.
Well, we'll have a link if you go to mentorsandmogulspodcast.com. We'll have a link there underneath so people can find your social media and find everything out. And we will definitely let our listeners know when this is ready for prime time. But it's an amazing project. Okay, so I'm going to shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about frivolous, fun gossip. In that, I mean, how in the world? So I flipped on a movie the other day that I hadn't seen of yours, believe it or not. And in the first 10 minutes, I see you in your underwear flopping on top of Ryan Reynolds. Okay. How do you do these love scenes and these sex scenes and these intimate scenes with, I would assume, a bunch of guys standing there 10 feet away watching you? What is that like?
Yeah, it's not comfortable. Never is comfortable. If you're lucky to be working with a professional partner, like Ryan Reynolds, then it makes it easier. I think it's easier also because I'm French. So, I've been nude on beaches. So I'm just like, okay, it's my underwear. It's just like a bathing suit. Right. But that said, one time I was doing an independent movie, and nobody will ever see this movie, so I can say. And the other actor just rubbed me the wrong way. He was not just, wasn't professional really. Mm. And we had to be in bed, and it wasn't even a scene an intimate scene. It was just breakfast in bed and a hug in bed. And I went in bed with my high heels. And so he got close to me, and I poked him with the heels, and he was like, what's going on? And I was like, that's right.
Well, you just had to know your boundaries.
Yeah.
That's how that works. What was your favorite? Do you have now, I won't say what's your favorite movie. What was the most fun or maybe an unexpected pleasant surprise you had on a TV or a movie set? Because your casts are amazing, even in A Million Little Things. I don't know who I love more, to be honest. Like right now, I love Maggie. But sometimes I love other characters. So what's your favorite or what's some fond memories you've had?
Well, A Million Little Things is definitely up there because of the friendships that I've made. And we're all really close and good friends. That's an unexpected thing. And I think a lot of, and also Satisfaction, I played a mom, and the girl who played my daughter, Michelle Deshawn, we are the closest friends. And same with Lizzie Green, who played my daughter on A Million Little Things. So I have two boys in real life, and they kid with me because they're like, who is it on the phone? Is it your daughter? So that, but I think professionally, the most unexpected was Iron Man 3, because I'm not a superhero kind of person. When my agent actually talked, he said, hey, there's interest for Iron Man 3. And I'm embarrassed to say this, but I was like, ugh, what? And I think that was my most incredible professional experience, working with Robert Downey Jr., playing a villain. I had the most amazing time. He improvises every day. Whatever is written on the page, he will tear it up every day and just make something new.
Oh,
So
really?
it's thrilling.
That's very nice. So when I met you, you said, well, I've been in Iron Man 3. And I said, I've seen all the Iron Mans. And you said, you have? I will watch anything that he's in. So there you go. Well, let's talk a little bit now about the 180 playbook. You kind of told me how that works and who it's for. Where do you see this going? Where do you hope this goes? What is your intent with this? Let's say, look 3-5 years down the road. Thought about that at all?
I would love it to really help, to be a tool for people who are in recovery or in therapy. I think I had a brother who was a heroin addict, and so he's a big inspiration for me in everything that I do. Even acting, he was kind of a rebel. So he's always there next to my heart and my head. But so I think of him a lot. He had a lot of trouble fitting into the world. And I'm like, if this can help people, people who are just trying to make a change, trying to incorporate new habits. And in 5 years, I mean, I would love it to be accessible to all and be a massive success. That's how I see it, hopefully.
I could totally see this in I'll say, for lack of a better term, a 12-step program. I could see this in being recommended for anyone who, whether it's an anxiety disorder or like you, preparing for something big that's different, that takes them out of their comfort zone. The women, I take up mountains, something that just causes complete fear and I don't have my go-tos. This is such a calming tool. And I think it brings you back to focus of what you're trying to accomplish and brings you back down to, I can do this. I'm okay. And it kind of regrounds you. Do you think so?
Yes. And more than that, I will say, so when you take women on a trip, you are going to, if I go on a trip with you, you're going to give me these nuggets of gold. And by the end of the trip, I'm going to be inspired and I'm going to feel like my life is going to change. And because you've given me all of this, but within weeks, you forget these things if you don't repeat them to yourself constantly. And so, I took an 8-week course on mindset training. And at the end of the course, it was amazing. At the end of the course, I was left with a PDF that's on my desktop. And then what? How many times are you? So I went back and I took all the takeaways that really resonate with me and I put them in my 180. And there's moments in your life where you need this reminder and other moments where that reminder is not really, you don't need it. But it's really about being reminded of what's important to you every morning. Do you remember the book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and It's All Small Stuff?
Yes.
I was flipping through it the other day again, and at the end, he actually said, It's so easy to get off track, to get sidetracked when we get stressed, with the demands of life. And he said, what I found the most a reliable thing is just part of my morning routine is reminding me every day of what's important to me. And I found that when I do that, I'm more apt to be in the moment and not get off track.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I think it's going to be a household tool. And I hope that everybody that's listening will follow you, download it, ask for more, because I think you're scratching the surface of something really important, but something that everybody needs. They just don't even know it yet. They don't know it's out there. So I love it. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
And thank you for bringing all these wonderful movies and TV series that I can binge watch. So thank you for that, because it's been a lot of fun.
You're so cute.
It's been a lot of fun. Well, I thank you for your time today. I know we just scratched the surface of what you're up to and what you've been up to, but hopefully we can tune in another 6 months. Once your show is out there, your latest show is out there, we can chat again and see what you're up to.
And I want to join you in one of your experiences and come
You are going to
do
come.
that with you. Yes.
You are going to come. So we're just about ready to announce we have an experience. Well, we can talk about it right now. We have one experience that's coming up. It is for the new year. So every year I go away for a week and I set up my new year. And these are my new goals. I've taken care of everyone else. I'm a mom. I'm now a grandmother. Can't believe I just said that. I'm a mom, a grandmother, and I have got a few businesses. So I want to just turn off the world and focus on what do I want next, turn off the noise, no cell phones, no social media, and just kind of set my new year up with the right intention. So in January, we are having a very exclusive masterclass and intimate workshop. And Stephanie will be there as one of my surprise guests if you're listening. And we are going to take you through setting up your new year, breaking down those limiting beliefs, and basically having a blast. And you'll walk away with hopefully the 180 playbook. And you'll also walk away with something fantastic, which is a roadmap and a support group for the whole year to help you achieve those goals. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that.
That's amazing. And the support group you can't do it alone. Having a community to do it with is everything.
Yes, a community and an accountability coach, I think is perfect. So that's what we're going to do. And I've never offered that to the public before. So I'm pretty excited about that. Well, Stephanie, we're going to keep watching. Everybody go watch her movies, go follow her, and a million little things you're going to get sucked in. If you haven't watched it already, if you've been living under a rock, go watch the series and you're going to see that she's not only a pivotal character, but she's been up to a lot of things. You've been a busy girl. Busy girl. Well, thank you, Stephanie. Until next time, stay safe, stay happy, and thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much, Heather. Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Mentors and Moguls podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, rate and review this interview and share it with a friend who could benefit from today's guest. You can find bonus video episodes at mentorsandmogulspodcast.com or check out our events page and our blog at heatherrstone.com. Until next time, make it a great day.